Chapter 4. The readministration of Atlantis proceeded peacefully for many centuries of Earth time, till at length a certain number of the Yahavic population bethought themselves that it would be well if they could obtain a knowledge of the divine mysteries, and to this end they laid their plans. Again were shrines raised up, and a certain sect deified the memory of Ithboleth, and raised up a great sanctuary in his honor in the lowlands of the continent over against the eastern seaboard. I need not tell you, my children, that they were helped by the Satnakuics and by the Ark Satnaku himself, who threw the whole of his energy into the newborn fight. Then was it that my beloved son Horus sent out El Erusufu, and did command him, saying, Go thou throughout the length and breadth of Atlantis, and warn the people, those children of Adam and Yahweh, lest they bring upon themselves the wrath of the cosmic force. Also saying unto them, Thus saith Horus, the divine representative of Atlantis, who is the very light of the morning, and from those rays do you receive your life. Utterly forsake the ways of Satnaku, also cast down the vile shrines of Ithboleth, and let his name be utterly forgotten. For if you do not do these things, which I command, then shall the wrath of the cosmos be meted out to you, and ye shall perish one and all. Thus did El Erosufu speak, and read the mandate of Horus throughout the continent of Atlantis. Also visited he Chakan, which was the chief city of Atlantis. But alas, the words which El Erosufu spoke unto the people were as a seed falling upon barren soil, and in their place sprang up all kinds of weeds which did choke the young seed which had been sown. My children, Satnaku called unto the people of Atlantis, and using as his mouthpiece certain Yahavic men at that time incarnate, he spake unto the people. And some of the blasphemies which he spake unto the people are written in the book of truth. Alas, the people hearkened unto the voice of Satnaku, offered up afresh their sacrifice, and this was so that the Adamic population should be utterly wiped out. For as I have told you in the book of truth, the Adamic children were always born as son-daughters, that is, male-female twins, and they were eternally wed, as was their right of the divine spheres from whence they had come. The subtle intellect of Satnaku demanded that when any such birth took place, the children were to be offered as a sacrifice to him, for he claimed to be the people's benefactor and even their rightful god. So my children, the people of Atlantis, hearkened unto the voice of Satnaku, because he showed unto them certain of the magical arts of which he knew, as a divine son of the cosmos, possessed a knowledge. Thus El Erosufu proceeded up into the sacred heights, and did stand again before Horus, and told unto him all that had befallen the tablelands and lowlands of the continent. Also did he tell my beloved son how the people were taken in idolatry, and would not hearken unto the command of the cosmos, which had been voiced through the mediumship of Horus Atanu. Then did my beloved son commune with the Father, Mother, God, and cried unto them, saying, O Lord God, Father, Mother, Son of all creation, behold, I have failed utterly in my task of bringing these people unto thee. The shrines of the Most High are overthrown, and thy cities have become an abomination in the sight of thine all-seeing eye. O Lord, great fountainhead of the cosmic force, what wilt thou tell me, that I may take vengeance for thee upon this people? And the voice of the cosmos, Father, Mother of creation, came unto Horus Atanu, and spake thus, My beloved son and ray child, take not unto thyself the blame for the waywardness of this people. Call thou unto my beloved firstborn, who is even El Duad, and I will put into his heart all those things that he shall both do and say. And I will cause the shrines of black magic to be obliterated entirely, that not one trace shall be left to stain the soil of the world that is called earth. So my beloved children, Horus Atanu, did as the voice of the cosmos commanded. And my beloved father, who was on a visit to the other distant spheres of gross matter, returned unto earth with his twin and spouse eternal, who is El Dua. And when he had come unto that continent called Atlantis, of which the capital is Chakan, he bade El Dua merge within himself, that she might hear the word of the cosmos, which was to be given unto him, even as had been told to my beloved son Horus Atanu. My children, the fountainhead, the mystic 3-in-1, did manifest itself through the heart of El Dua, And she spake unto her male half, and said, Atlantis shalt thou make even as was Sargon. But before thou stretch out thine hand, thou shalt collect certain of the Adamic and Yahvic population, who are still my devoted children. And thou shalt select leaders who shall be placed over the remainder of those whom I shall command thee to save. Thou shalt command each leader to construct boats which shall be able to withstand the waters of the ocean, and the boats shall be the same as those used in Atlantis. And when all is ready, and also certain of the animal and plant life has been collected, thou shalt command the leaders of the section to depart, and they shall proceed until they come again to dry land. Then shall they disembark, and the land shall be for them as a habitation. And they shall utterly forget the ways of Satanatku, and by the sweat of their labor shall they cultivate their lands. Thus spoke the Cosmos unto El-Duad through El-Duah, and he did as the Cosmos commanded, speaking unto the people as he had been instructed. But alas, my children, a desire for knowledge grew up in the minds of the people, and they did seek to construct a huge tower, thinking they would be afforded a sight of the sacred heights, and the construction of the boat's legs, that the people were unable to depart. Then spake the Cosmos unto El-Duad a second time, and said, Behold, I will cause the mentalities of the people to be changed, that no man shall understand his neighbor's speech. Thus will they be confounded, and the work will be stopped. And this one had taken place, then shalt thou seek out new leaders from amongst the people, and they shall be from among the Adamic population, and thou shalt issue thy command unto thee, even as I already told thee. When the time comes that the boats are ready to depart, thou shalt command each leader to collect unto him all who are of his tongue. So shall there be several schools, all of different tongues, and they shall migrate in their boats as I have commanded. And I will cause the boats to be guided to the continents of earth, which are now in readiness to receive these people. As time doth progress, each school shall become a nation, and over each school shall I cause to be placed divine initiates, and they shall be known as the dynasties of the initiates. And over Camus will I place in their order of descent the 24 initiates of Atlantis, including my beloved ray affinities, Osiris, Isis. And out of the land of Camus shall I cause the divine mysteries of the cosmos again to arise, that they may be as a lasting sign unto the nations of earth. And when the time shall come that man's estate shall have become worse, I will close again the sacred mysteries, and they shall be lost to earth until such a time as I shall command light to be again given unto the people. And behold, by this plan which I have evolved shall I cause all who prove unworthy in the use of the divine gift of free will to be utterly obliterated, and they shall return again from whence they came. Likewise shall all those who withstand the weariness of material time be at last received into the fold of the children of the cosmos, and the children of the cosmos by adoption, and this state shall continue until the marriage feast of God, the Son, shall be ready to take place. Before closing this chapter, my children, I would make one important point clear unto you in connection with my beloved eldest brother-sister, who are our Baal Jesus and our Bel Jesus. Their history is written down in detail in the Book of Truth. All that I would tell you is that they dwelt in the sacred heights with my beloved father-mother, and were as special helpers unto him. The downfall of Arbal came immediately before the final commands of the cosmos for the destruction of the continent of Sargon. It was during the very early days of evolution in Atlantis, for as I have told you, my father Ta El-Duad was actually preparing that continent before the destruction of Sargon. I shall not go into details concerning these times, as they are set down for you in the Book of Truth. Also, there are other matters of importance which do not appear in the Book of Truth, which have now to be set before you. Chapter 5. My children, I shall give you a brief account of the final disintegration of Atlantis. Those who were to be saved had already set out in their boats, and were many days distant on the ocean when the final commands of the Father-Mother God were carried out. I shall take you up into the sacred heights of the continent, and show you my Father's plan for the safeguarding of the sacred mysteries and statuettes of Atlantis. The 24 masters who were to rule Camus were collected together, some being still incarnate and the remainder discarnate. Also were many of the Adamics who were discarnate brought unto my Father. When all were assembled, my Father spoke unto them after this manner: Ye dual rays of my very breath, it has been commanded me by the cosmos that I offer unto you the choice of self-sacrifice. The sacrifice shall be in this form, that ye shall one and all reincarnate in the mortal body of sin, that ye may be doing so help the men of earth and the lost Adamics. Behold, ye shall be offered the choice of doing this great work for the Father, Mother God, or of returning each one unto his rightful place in the various spheres of the cosmic universe. Remember mine own dual rays, rays of the purple branch and rays of the golden branch. Your times of tribulation on earth may be long and your path exceedingly stony. Yet if you are able to withstand the trials of material time, then shall ye have accomplished a great work for the blessed cosmic Trinity. Weigh ye well my words, and belittle not my warning unto you. For again I say the pathway will be full of stones and sharp pieces, which shall wound your mortal flesh like knives. Yea, in many cases shall the spirit also suffer. Therefore I say unto you, take not this step lightly, but remember that ye are making the greatest sacrifice that ye can offer unto the Father, Mother, Son, God, the blessed Trinity of the cosmos. Having spoken thus, the Father received personally each volunteer, and he was enrolled with all secrecy. Each individual knew not the vows that his fellow had taken, for each one was enrolled in the way best suited for him. Let it be known unto you, my children, that the same sentence hath a different significance for each mentality. The secrets of the mysteries were hidden within the entities of each ray child, the Adamics not being admitted into the secret mysteries of initiation, although collectively they had their lesser tasks to perform, and even though they were less, they were a most important part of the complete whole. The first to be called unto my beloved Father was I, Osiris, who was instructed concerning the building of the chief sanctuary of initiation, which was to be erected in the land of Camus. The complete plan was given unto me, and it was the same as that one of the sacred heights, except for certain differences. The outer court was the one which differed most. Also were there certain minor differences to the inner sanctuaries, which I have already mentioned further back in this my book, the Chronicles of Osiris. I shall not give the description of this temple of initiation at this time, because it is described for you, my children, in the Book of Truth, where a detailed description of all the parts is given. Having made known unto me what things I should do, my Father bade me call unto him El Erusufu, the lawgiver, to whom were delivered the statutes of my father Ta. These statutes, when in the possession of a fully qualified initiate, were a key unto the divine mysteries of the cosmos. They were sculptured in stone, the same that I have already mentioned to you as being very durable. These statutes were written in the sacred initiate language, and it was only understood by those ray children who were initiates of the inner eye of the cosmic mysteries. The use of the sacred signs and symbols played a great part in the sacred script, and he who is unable to understand the connection that exists between the symbols and the sacred alphabet is unable to translate the statutes. These statutes were taken into Camus at the command of my father, and they were lodged with the tablets of stone given to me, Osiris. And I would mention that the plans of the sacred temple were inscribed upon my tablets. Then did my beloved Father call unto him Horus Atanu, and unto him were given 21 tablets of stone, and upon them were engraven the sacred commandments and the laws of the cosmos delivered unto El-Duad at the destruction of Sarkhan. A copy of these was held by each ray child, yet were they not written down upon stone, but were retained by them as a lasting memory. Later in these chronicles shall I give them unto you. These were also written in the sacred initiate language, which were also known to the ray children of my beloved Father El-Duad. Having delivered this charge unto the 24, my Father spake thus unto us, My beloved children, thanks be unto you that you have one and all accepted the burden of the world upon which hath so many sorrow already descended. This one thing will I make known unto you. When ye hold rule over the land of Camus, which is within the fertile valley of the river that is called Nilos, your periods of rule shall be for 100 years of earth time. And she who is your twin eternal shall not incarnate with you, for she shall be required as the ear under the commands of the cosmos. The mortal sex bodies that ye shall wear shall not be crystallized by the act of mortal sex union, but shall be a less material body, and one that can be produced at the will of the karmic lord Melchizedek. And when the garment is ready, then shall he command the awaiting spirit to take its place within its walls. 7 years before the reigning master shall vacate his mortal shell, shall the karmic Lord Melchizedek crystallize a like garment for his successor, and this shall be so that their heir shall be instructed during the passing of the 7 years in the mysteries. For know you from past experience that the act of incarnation doth dull and cramp the ego, even if the mortal house be ever so perfect. For the memory lies latent and requires to be awakened, and when schooled in the correct manner, this awakening takes place within the 7 earth years. The mortal shell of the departing master shall be etherically disintegrated when its time has come. My children, I shall not continue the speech of El-Duwad, for all that was commanded is written down for you in the book of truth. Also is the phenomena of the discarnate female half explained, as are many other things that I shall only touch upon, because they are links in the circle of remembrance, which is to be again brought unto you. All these things having been done, the initiates who were still incarnate, and also those Adamics who had been collected by my father to be future priests and teachers, were transported into the discarnate state. Casting away their mortal bodies, they proceeded unto their various spheres as they were commanded by the Lord Melchizedek. El-Erosufu was sent unto the land of Camus, and he proceeded thither with the tablets of stone which had been entrusted to his care. This was done by causing the stones to become etherealized, until they had reached their appointed resting place, where they rematerialized. In like manner were all the material objects designated for Camus transported thither. Having made clear these things unto you, my children, I shall proceed with an account of the destruction of the continent. The foundation of Atlantis was already undermined on account of the previous upheavals which had occurred, so that the lowlands fell away at the first quaking of the soil nearest the seabed. My children, remember you not that the people sought to construct a tower, which they deemed would lead them to the sacred heights. I say unto you, those who tamper with the divine mysteries shall perish by them. The continent of Atlantis fell away from the lowland upward, and as it submerged, so were the people driven up towards the tablelands, which parts were yet unaffected. Some of you will ask why they did not escape from the continent in boats. The reason was because the sea was seething mass of molten lava and sulphurous tongues of fire, and all who were bold enough to approach were swallowed up or scorched to death. As the days went by, the tablelands in turn became affected and crumbled, falling away into the sea, till at length, with a population that remained left in a crowded mass around the slopes of the highlands, yet could they not approach them, because only those who possessed the knowledge of the adept could levitate thither. Yet, my children, were the evil ones of Atlantis to see from within the jaws of death those sacred heights which they had so driven to reach. Outraged nature was to play her part, and suddenly a huge crater was formed within the sacred heights. And truly did it seem as if Satnaku awaited them in that cauldron of fury. The sacred heights subsided, and telescoping into the bosom of the earth, afforded those people congregated upon the tablelands a glimpse of what they had striven to see. Down went the sacred temple, surrounded by the 7 peaks, and as it subsided, it sucked after it the remaining portions of the tablelands, engulfing those evil ones who still remained alive. Thus perished Atlantis, and at length the waves of the ocean closed over the last traces of that evil continent, that same fair land that had once been the habitation of Ta and the divine men. Thus did my beloved son Horus behold the destruction, for there were none present at the awful funeral, save my beloved father-mother, I, Osiris, and my beloved son, Horus Atanu. And it was upon this memory that my son did write his lament, which I have set down for you at the commencement of this my book, that it may give its message unto the nations of earth for the dawning day of Aquarius. Chapter 6. Having detailed briefly the events which took place in Atlantis and Sarkon, and having described to you the particular fates which overtook them, I shall proceed to give you a description of what occurred in Camus from the time of the final immigration, which took place around 15,000 B.C. When at length the boats containing the refugees arrived at that spot now called Alexandria, they did according to the word of my beloved father Ta El-Duwad, and proceeded to disembark. The particular Adamic priests who were in charge of the boats turned their attention to the organization of their particular contingents. At length, when all had encamped upon the fertile piece of land now known as the delta of the Nile, the Adamic chiefs collected together and conferred with one another as to the best means of administering the wants of the people. At length was one chosen whose name was Horatop, and he in turn elected his chief priests and helpers from among the remaining Adamics. I would here state that those immigrants who had landed in Egypt during the first series of earthquake which shook Atlantis had proceeded further south, and constituted what was afterwards called the countries of Nubians and Ethiopians. Not all the ships had landed at Alexandria, for some had been driven on to the northern shores of the Mediterranean and had settled in Greece. In fact, detachments had settled all along the northern Mediterranean seaboard. As the years passed by and the population increased, great stone buildings were set up, built after the same manner as those of Atlantis before the submerging of that continent. When all things had been appointed for the comfort of the people, and when sufficient dwellings had been erected, Horatop turned his attention to the erecting of temples in place of initiation. He was a man who possessed a very keen intuition, and was well skilled in the sacred arts, being an adept of the 5th degree. His first act was to build huge stones of remembrance, and these took the form of 3 pyramids. The reason why the pyramid was chosen was because the 3rd chamber of the neophyte in the sacred temples of Atlantis had been pyramidal in form. His plan was to construct 3 of these huge edifices, within each of which different stages of initiation were to be passed. The entrance to the great temple of initiation was identical with that of the temple of the sacred heights of Atlantis, that is, through the pause of a gigantic sphinx, which was carved out of the natural rock. It is this ancient sphinx that you see at your present time of incarnation, my beloved children. Since those dim times, however, it has been badly tampered with, and altered to suit the conceits of the various rulers of the ancient land, and often has the monarch attempted to give the face a resemblance to his own feature. Thus historians of the ages have attributed its origin to the early kings of Egypt. My beloved children, when the will of Horotep caused the Sphinx to be built, he raised a monument to the remembrance of the initiates of Atlantis, and he was again seeking to revive the ancient mysteries. The time taken to build the Sphinx and the 3 pyramids, known today as the Pyramids of Giza, was over a period of 1,050 years of intermittent building. As one priest monarch died, so did his successor swear to carry on the work of his predecessor. The Sphinx was connected with the 3 pyramids by a series of underground chambers and passages, those leading to the pyramids radiating from a center circular-shaped temple, which was also completely subterranean. Under each of the pyramids were chambers which connected with those external structures by means of a passage and a small tomb-like apartment or room. I shall only touch upon these details lightly, as I wish for the present to leave this colony that had grown up from the refugees of Atlantis, and proceed to a place situated in what is known at your present time as Upper Egypt. It so happened, my children, that I appeared in a vision unto the reigning priest-king of the colony of the Delta, and spoke unto him even as I had been commanded by my father Ta-el-Duad. And I said unto him, Collect together all the people, both Adamic and Yahavic, and when they have come before thee, divide them into 2 camps. Over one of the divisions shalt thou place a successor, and bid him go forth towards the south, following the course of the great river which is called Nilos. And when he shall have come to the place that I shall show him, he shall pitch his camp, and bid the people take the land as a dwelling place. And when all has come about as I shall command, then shall he proceed to the place of hiding, where I have selected at the command of my beloved Father El-Duad. And behold, he shall be guided by me in a dream. And I will show unto him the plans for the building of my house, wherein shall be hidden all the secret mysteries of the initiation. Having spoken these words unto the king, who was even an incarnation of Adalomai, he having been born wed to his twin and spouse eternal, who was Adalomai. They were born amongst the Adamic people of the Delta. I departed. On the morrow, when the king awoke, he sent unto his son-daughter, El-Erosufu, El-Erosufua, and told them all that had been seen in the dream. And he recounted how I, Osiris, had appeared unto him, and made known unto El-Erosfu all that had been told by me. Then did El-Erosufu act according to the commands of his father, and collecting the people together, they proceeded unto that place towards the south, which had been shown unto El-Ersaphu, and by his father Adolamiah. And when after many days' journeying they arrived in the vicinity of my father's hiding place, which he had elected for the secretion of the various tablets and secrets of the sacred heights, behold, they pitched their camp. The first act of El-Ersaphu, who was known as Heliomore in that incarnation, was to command the people to build them houses in which to live. These resembled those of the Delta which I have already mentioned to you, my children. At length the time had come when the people were organized and formed a settlement, living according to the laws given unto the chief priests by Heliomore. Then did I appear unto him, and did show him where the statues of my father Ptah were hidden, also the tablets of stone containing the plans of the sacred temple of initiation. Having done this, I spoke thus unto Heliomore, and said, Collect the people before thee, and cause 2,000 picked men to be taken from amongst them, and allow the chief priests to make their selection from them. And when this has been done, call unto thee the chief priests of the people, and give unto them my instructions concerning the building of this temple, which is to be my father's house, in which shall be kept all the divine mysteries of the inner eye of the cosmic force. And behold, when the time shall come that thou shalt be called out of the flesh, then shall thy son El-Potipharu carry on my father's work. Behold, I say unto you that the work shall not cease until the time shall come when this house of remembrance shall be completed. And it shall be the home of the future masters of the divine dynasties of Camus, and at a period yet to come shall I appear before you clothed in the perfected mortal body of the cosmos, and it shall be crystallized at the will of the karmic Lord Melchizedek. And the dynasty shall continue to hold spiritual rule over this land of Camus, even as my father Ptah el-Duad told you in the sacred heights of Atlantis before the destruction of that evil continent. Having made known these things under Heliomore, I departed unto my twin and spouse eternal, who is Isis, and dwelt in the country of the gods, always maintaining telepathic communication with Camus, of which I was the lord. My children, I shall not go into details concerning this house of initiation, the house of the divine dynasty of the Ray children, as is given in detail in the Book of Truth. What I would now do is to make clear unto you the connection that existed between Upper and Lower Camus. As I have already told you, my children, the refugees from Atlantis first settled in the delta of Lower Egypt, and having constructed the pyramids and sphinx at the command of Hortep, the old services of remembrance were reinstated, first in the small temple which were constructed, and 1,050 years later in the pyramidal house of initiation, which were at last ready. The Father and Mother God was worshipped through the mediumship of Ptah, whom they designated King Father of the gods and divine men. The pyramids never formed the inner circle of divine initiation, they being only stones of remembrance to keep the people in the knowledge of the cosmos, until such times as the sacred house of my father should be ready, which was not till about the year 10,000 B.C. My children, my father's house being ready, I took my place in the mortal sanctified body, which Melchizedek had prepared for me, and calling unto me the chief priests of the temple, I selected from among them teachers who were to officiate in the outer court of the temples. The various initiates who were not full adepts did I place according to their degree of knowledge in the 2 subterranean chambers, which comprised the pyramidal chamber and the rectangular chamber. I need not go into details concerning these, as they are dealt with at length in the Book of Truth. The first to officiate as initiate adept of the initiate adepts in the rectangular chamber was my beloved son and ray child Horus, and I would here tell you that he was in the body created by Melchizedek longer than any of the other masters, because I had of necessity to place one who could be relied upon in the sanctuary of the initiate adepts, and he had to be my shield and mouthpiece unto the outer world. Thus were all matters of material administration left in his charge. Also was he to be my successor, when the time came for me to relinquish my mastership. At this point I would return to the connection that existed between Upper and Lower Egypt. The Adamic priests and novices who were initiated into the mysteries in my father's house were sent into Lower Egypt when they had passed the necessary degrees, and they did officiate and hold spiritual rule over the pyramidal center of initiation, which was known as the outer circle of initiates, of the circle of the eye. This center took its instruction from the inner circle of the eye, the cosmos, which was the center occupied by my father's house, which was in Upper Egypt. This state of administration endured uninterrupted for about 2,400 years of Earth time. Over Lower Egypt was there a monarch who was the figurehead, who ordered the material laws of the country, and he was chosen by the Adamic priesthood of the pyramidal center. Likewise, over the Upper Egypt was there also a monarch who administered the material laws of the country, and he was chosen at the commands of the initiate adept of the initiate adepts. And remember, my children, these kings were always chosen from amongst the Adamic population.